and Sandy Rex, Marksville. I gave you everything.
I don't know.
Yes, I can hear you guys.
Yes, you can hear us.
If not, I'll go.
I'm missing the Santa Key. The Santa Key invoice.
I'm 90% sure we gave you everything. The lows he gave you.
This
That little one.
Yes, I can hear you guys.
yes, you can hear us.
If not, I'll go.
I'm missing the Santa Key. Santa Key.
Yes.
What's your best?
Oh, I see it. Oh, you see it now.
There's that one right there.
Yeah. Yeah, hold on. Oh, yeah, that was good.
Staple that together.
Okay, we're good?
Yep.
We're good. Who's there?
Oh, this is for.
Thanks for dropping off the sign.
Yeah.
I'll take you long. She made it. You know who's gonna win, man. They're all over. Such a good time. Yeah, it's a good guy. I get good vibes. And I'm all about that. Oh, sure, of course. I got it.
Sure.
How are you? Sorry not to get back to you. How's my
Oh, no,
grandma?
It's up to you. But I definitely know I need mine before we go live. I don't want to do something very.
Let me give it back to you.
Just get a majority of them. There's two. They're trying to realize
Nancy, there's a second one.
Oh, there is?
I didn't figure out the one that said, yeah.
And you put your spell wrong.
What's picking it up?
Yeah, that's why when I did it, I'm like scary with it.
Hey, good to see you.
Are you still holding them?
No.
Okay.
They don't get that.
We just need that for, because that's what the others. Okay.
We're just gonna say I'm just providing you for. Compliance with everybody else, and it's been turned on, so. We know this works. It's been turned on, so we're good. What's that? The one item on the agenda
Grant. I'll read this part, and then I'll have you explain.
Okay.
What goes after, and then I'll ask for a motion to suspend, right?
Yeah, there you go. This one, I'm not gonna say it's that we resolved the audit, but I'm gonna make sure that they, because it says compliant with the newly I'll just say that I found it.
Okay. All right, right. Gotcha. Okay.
And then when the audit comes out, I give it the public here.
Okay.
Like a welder.
These are. Okay, 7:30.
Sit down.
7:30. Good stuff.
Am I far away from you?
Good.
Okay,
7:30. Ready to go.
that's all. As long
What,
as
are
far
you
away
put
from you.
together now?
Sure.
I know you.
Because otherwise he'll still
You were
keep
so
gabbing.
over, I agree.
Okay, please all rise for the prayer, for pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the mayor's prayer. Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority, and may we use it in our directives for the common good. For thy honor and glory, amen. Thank you. Okay, call to order, please.
All righty. Ms. Falkenberg?
Here.
Mr. Cronin?
Here.
Mrs. Mara?
Here.
Dr. Sharma? Here. Ms. Sharma?
Here.
Ms. Saba?
Here.
Okay, thank you. All right, a couple things. We did we locked up the gate on the beach. It was very successful. We were having a lot of non-residents, mostly kids, just causing a lot of trouble. We were getting a lot of complaints, and it pretty much solved the one problem. But, you know, we've got other little issues to deal with, but other than that, it worked out really well. Again, we did some other work around the village. We fixed up some of the potholes on Lakeshore Extension. We got that ready before the parade. We also went around the village fixing some grates. So there were a lot of sewer grates that were broken and they were causing a hazard. So we got those also fixed and repaired. And basically, I just want to mention too that for anyone who's not available, if we go to our website, you can catch the streaming online for the village for all the council meetings. Just want to make that notice. And it's right on our website. It's and then that's about it for that. Reading of the council minutes. Do we have a motion to, any questions, first of all, on the meeting minutes?
No.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Falkenberg makes a motion.
I second. Sharon. Second.
Okay, perfect. Ms. Falkenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Cronin?
Aye.
Mrs. Mara?
Aye.
Dr. Sharma? Ms. Sharma? Ms. Saba?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, first order of business. Legislation ordinance number 2020-07. An ordinance to establish a credit card policy compliant with the newly enacted provisions of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency. Can you explain that?
Okay, this ordinance is was supposed to be passed back actually in 2018, in place in February 2019. I found that we weren't in compliance with it, so this is the new credit card policy. This was enacted by House Bill 312, regulating the use of the credit card and debit card by political subdivision. So that's the reason this is here, and I put it on to do as an emergency to get us into compliance going forward immediately. So that's the reason it's for rules suspended.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to suspend the rules?
I make a motion to suspend.
Second.
I second it.
Nancy Mara seconds it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Ms. Falkenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Cronin?
Aye.
Mrs. Mara?
Aye.
Dr. Sharma? Ms. Sharma? Ms. Saba?
Aye.
Motion to pass.
Okay, now, do we have a motion to pass?
Falkenberg makes a motion.
Okay, Falkenberg makes a motion to pass. Second.
Shannon seconds.
Shannon seconds it.
Ms. Falkenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Cronin?
Aye.
Mrs. Mara?
Aye.
Dr. Sharma?
Aye.
Dr. Sharma? Okay. Ms. Sharma?
Aye.
Ms. Saba?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next one, Resolution 2020-09. A resolution authorizing the fiscal officer to amend the certificate of estimated resources for the year 2020 and declaring an emergency.
Explain that one.
Please explain that one.
This one is the reason we're doing the amendment of the certificate of estimated resources is for the coronavirus relief fund that we received the money in from the county, which came through the FEMA, which is $45,626.39. We actually have to receive the money in first, and then before we can expend it. So to amend it.
Okay, thank you. So do we have a motion to suspend the rules?
I make a motion.
I second the motion.
Dr. Sharma makes a motion and Nancy Mara seconds it.
Perfect. Ms. Falkenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Cronin?
Aye.
Mrs. Mara?
Aye.
Dr. Sharma?
Aye.
Ms. Sharma? Ms. Saba?
Aye.
Okay. Motion to pass.
Motion.
Shannon makes a motion.
Shannon makes a motion to pass. Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Nancy Mara seconds.
Perfect. Ms. Falkenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Cronin?
Aye.
Mrs. Mara?
Aye.
Dr. Sharma? Ms. Sharma?
Aye.
Ms. Saba?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next resolution, 2020-10. A resolution amending the Permanent Appropriations Fund for the Village of Timberlake, Ohio for the year 2020 and declaring an emergency. Explain that one.
Okay, this is so we can expend the coronavirus relief fund money, and I budgeted all of it because we have to have it spent by the September 30th is what they kind of recommend. We have it all encumbered because we have to report back to the county what we don't spend, and we have to return it by October 15th, what we don't spend.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to suspend the rules?
Falkenberg makes a motion.
Falkenberg makes a motion to suspend. Do we have a second?
Shannon seconds.
Shannon seconds.
Okay, Ms. Falkenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Cronin?
Aye.
Mrs. Mara?
Aye.
Dr. Sharma? Dr. Sharma? Ms. Sharma? Ms. Saba?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Now, do we have a motion to pass resolution 2020-10?
Nancy Mara makes a motion.
Nancy Mara motions, second.
Falkenberg seconds.
Falkenberg seconds.
Okay, Ms. Falkenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Cronin?
Aye.
Mrs. Mara?
Aye.
Dr. Sharma?
Aye.
Ms. Sharma? Ms. Saba?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Resolution 2020-11. A resolution authorizing the Village of Timberlake political subdivision to participate in State of Ohio Cooperative Purchasing Program and declaring an emergency. Do we have a motion? Or can you explain that, please?
Okay, this is where the state will go out and get bids for community, large quantities of material and items. It could be anything from paper towels, computers, vehicles on there. And we can go on here and shop on there and buy it maybe at a discounted rate than versus what you can buy out in the public. And you have to have a resolution in place in order to pass it. And looking through, I can find where we have not seen any resolution that we've done that. And this has been in place for several years on there, but we have no record here. And this year actually happens to, right now happens to be a free time to join it. It's like $100 a year.
Okay. Any questions?
So like if you bought a truck, you don't have to buy it. You don't have to go out to bid if you buy it through state purchasing.
Okay.
I'm just using that as an example. Police cruiser, same thing.
All right. Motion to suspend the rules, please.
I'll make a motion.
Shannon makes a motion to suspend. Do we second?
I'll second the motion.
Nancy Mara seconds.
Okay, Ms. Falkenberg,
Aye.
Mr. Cronin,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Dr. Sharma, Ms. Sharma, Ms. Saba.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to pass Resolution 2020-11?
Falkenberg makes a motion.
Falkenberg makes a motion. Shannon seconds.
Perfect. Ms. Falkenberg,
Aye.
Mr. Cronin,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Dr. Sharma,
Aye.
Ms. Sharma,
Aye.
Ms. Saba.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next resolution, 2020-12, a resolution approving a petition for the creation of a shoreline special improvement district and for the levy of special assessment for shoreline improvement projects and declaring an emergency. Can you explain that one? Or?
You need to explain it because I don't know what that was.
That was about that.
Well, this is about, there's a project going on with all the communities involved, and what they're doing is they're trying to get grant money and assistance for helping people with their shoreline improvements. They know it's going to be up to the homeowner to do those improvements because of the erosion problem. So what they needed to get this thing going is they needed at least one person, one resident from every community to participate. And again, that's just to participate in the study. And again, there's no obligation for it. They can opt out at any time. But the thing is that it would get us involved so that we get the people who have a hardship who cannot improve it and need erosion protection, would give them the ability to do it and then spread it over time on their taxes or however that works. As an assessment that goes on that. But this is just so that it would help all those other owners out. So we had one person one resident that opted in for it, and that's all we needed. So again, no one's committed to it. They can opt out at any time, but this is just so that whoever does want it, they can get involved in it and get their shoreline taken care of. So do we have a motion to suspend the rules?
I motion. I first motion.
Nancy Mara motions, second motion.
I second it.
Dr. Sharma seconds.
Okay, great. Ms. Falkenberg,
Aye.
Mr. Cronin,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Dr. Sharma, Ms. Sharma, Ms. Saba.
Aye.
Thank you. And resolution to pass, or do we have a motion to pass resolution 2020-12?
I make a motion to pass.
Nancy Mara makes a motion to pass. Who second?
Falkenberg seconds.
Sherry Falkenberg seconds.
Okay, perfect. Ms. Falkenberg,
Aye.
Mr. Cronin,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Dr. Sharma, Ms. Sharma, Ms. Saba.
Aye.
Okay, and then the last one, resolution 2020-13. This will be the first reading, and we will need to pass it as an emergency at the September meeting. But this resolution is for authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to expend funds received from the CARES Act fund and declaring it an emergency. Can you explain this one?
All right, so in watching some of the webinars with the state and everything, they're recommending, even though we have the money of the $45,626.39, they suggest that we designate exactly what it's going for and pass it by a resolution or ordinance. Now, the reason I have it on first reading is because I would like council's input or even the police department, service department's input on some of the items we can expend it for. Now, some of the items that have come out so far, the thing is cleaning and sanitizing the facilities and vehicles, the PPE, touchless entry doors, even the touchless electric light switches, the faucets, even toilets, the automatic hand sanitizers and soap, and paper towel dispensers. Another item was electric static sprayer, employee keyless entries, so you can just give them a card to swipe in. Leather chairs for the council, but you guys have them here, so you don't need to do that one. A video recording for the system for the public meetings. So with us doing the Zoom and all that right now. And then also you can use it for, it says between now and then, if an employee came down with the COVID and the police department has to pay somebody overtime to come in or cover that shift, we could use that. Now there's other ideas if you have out there, come up with them. If where they're questionable, we can send them down to them and they'll tell us yes or no that we can use it on it. And remember, we have to have all this money at least encumbered by September 30th of what we're spending. We don't have to have it exactly here physically, but encumbered.
Okay.
So
thank
if
you.
you guys have other ideas too, or something, you know, and you could say no to any of these that you want. So we'll ask you for guidance on how you want it spent. I mean, like the mayor was okay to spend it for the TV so
TV
people
show,
could see
yeah.
us.
Actually, I just donated that. I didn't use it yet. Until we get everything resolved, I'll just donate it.
Are you
So-
asking for those recommendations now?
Well, this is, you're gonna have more at the September meeting, so,
Okay.
but yeah, so think about it. If you want all these, none of these, what you want, how many you want. If there's something that we didn't think of that might be unique for this community versus another community. I don't know.
Joanne, when must the money be encumbered by?
September 30th.
September 30th. Okay, perfect. Because I think our next meeting will be on the 15th. So I just wanted to make sure.
On there, yeah. So that's what that is. That's why I have it on first reading.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions on it before we? Okay, so. Okay. Get to the reports, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's going to be an income tax levy that's going to be coming up this election, and a couple points that I'd like to make. Okay, why we want to vote yes for this levy. And everyone knows, you know, we're always in a financial bind here, but for example, what will it cost me? If a person makes $35,000 a year, it will cost you $35 for that year, or $2.92 per month. Now, who does not have to pay the income tax, which is non-taxable? Social Security. If you are retired and have no taxable income, you're required to file an exemption for the first year that this applies. Pension distributions. If you are retired, have no taxable income, you are required to file an exemption for the first year that this applies. Military pay or allowance of members of the armed services of the United States and members of the reserve components, including the National Guard. If you are a member of the U.S. Armed Forces, including the National Guard, you have no other taxable income for the tax year, you are required to annually file for an exemption form. Retirement from plan distributions. If you are retired and have no taxable income, you are required to file an exemption for the first year that this applies. And also that's not taxable as workers' compensation, third-party sick pay, public assistance, interest, dividends, capital gains, state unemployment compensation, alimony received, royalties from intangible income sources, contributions made to Section 125 cafeteria plans, annuity distributions, IRA distributions, and insurance proceeds. This will not increase the property tax bill at all. Again, this is just for an income tax increase. And as pretty much everyone knows, I mean, we really need it. So we're at a shortfall this year. And like I said, we can use that to come through. Our last levy only failed by 17 votes, which was kind of disappointing, but that would have brought, you know, kept us going for 5 years. But either way, this one will really help us out. So we really need word to get out. And if everyone can support that, it would really be great. So
And by losing by the 17 votes, that was an income or property tax. So that would have raised the
Yeah,
rest.
the other one by that would have gone on property tax, which would have affected the seniors mostly also that are on fixed income. This one won't affect the seniors or anyone that's retired because again, it doesn't affect the property tax at all. Just go for income tax. And then that's it on that. The solicitor's report. Jeremy?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. I have nothing to report this month, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Joanne?
All right, a couple of items I have besides it on there. One of the items is, so everybody knows in the public, the meeting notices, I send them to the News Herald at the beginning of the year, the meeting dates and times. They don't publish them, it's beyond my control. I always, it's always in the free agenda, so they always get it. I email it to them, so they know what day our meetings are here. Unless we have a special meeting, then I also send that to them as a notice on there, on it. You already talked about the income tax, we talked about the COVID. And then under purchases and approval, there's going to be another additional emergency item for purchases and approval of an item that just, outstanding invoice that just came due that we'll have to explain on that more. So let's go over the monthly financials. Council received them all emailed out to you on the financial reports on there. But I will go ahead and read through July's information, and then if you have any questions too. So our beginning balance for July 2020 was $262,003.03. Our month-to-date revenue was $97,822.72. And the reason that is up so high was because we received the COVID money in. Our year-to-date revenue was $432,497.39. You have to keep in mind too, the revenue will look a little off, but it offsets it is because when I do the transfer out from the general fund for the expenditures for the loans, that shows the revenue going in those line item funds. And those are, the loans start with the 3,000. Our month-to-date expenditures for July was $90,931.15. And the reason that is so high is because we had the fire demo money that went back to the resident that had the fire of the 48,000 on there. So our year-to-date expenditures is $412,930.43. And we are beginning August with $268,894.60. But then we pretty much have all of our money in. It's
Okay.
coming in.
Okay, anyone have any questions for Joanne? Okay, thank you. Chief, trying the report.
Sonny, I will get you your stats once I can get back into my computer. We had a glitch, so I have to get a new password to get back in. So she'll have them for when she needs to get them out to wherever she has to send them to. Other than that, the only thing that I had to add additionally was Black Lives Matter Lake County had requested information from us on some of our policies and stuff. I got all that together and I got that out to them, so they have everything they were asking about. And also, just to add in about the beach, so far this year, we in the last few weeks, our calls to the beach have diminished greatly. Due to the lock being on there, minus one or two people that keep wanting to hop the fence for some reason. But I'm sorry.
I can barely hear you back here.
So as for the one thing that there was two things that I just mentioned. Lake County Black Lives Matter had requested information from us through public request for some of our policies and things. I think they requested it pretty much from every county and every agency in Lake County. So they have all the information that they've requested. They're happy. They sent me a reply saying everything that they were looking for was in there. The other thing that I was just going to add, since we're coming up on the first month of the gate being secured at the beach, our calls have drastically dropped down at the beach from more than once or twice a night down to maybe 4 or 5 times per week at the most. So I was just mentioning that it has cut down on a lot of the kids that are coming over from the apartments, a lot of the East Lake kids that are crossing the street, walking down the block and walking right in. A couple of, in the very beginning, I mean, it's probably a big core of the same kids. Once we went down there and said, hey, let me see who has a key. And then nobody could provide a key. We're like, listen, you know, if you're not a resident, you can't be here, you know, pass the word on to the other kids. And it really has greatly squashed the teenage population of going down there that were not residents. So it's made it a little bit easier on callbacks to, you know, can you please meet somebody at the top of the stairs to the beach for, you know, possibly kids down there that don't belong here. It's made it nicer because after that, maybe the first week or so, after the core, because it was hot that week, so a lot of the kids that normally frequented there that did not belong here, once they got the word that, hey, listen, you have to have a key, don't hop the fence, because now that you're hopping the fence, now you know you're doing something wrong. It's not just like pushing open a gate. It's really drastically cut down the numbers of, one, people being down there in general, but definitely of the kids that didn't belong down there that were just using the beach because they thought that as long as the gate didn't have a lock, it's free for anybody to use, because obviously they couldn't read. So that was the only additional thing that I had.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Okay, council member reports. Kim Saba?
I would say one of the first and foremost on most people's minds are ordinances, and we are going to be moving forward. We've had a little bit of a setback with having to make sure that some of the ordinances were intact and being able to push forward on following these ordinances in the village. And that pretty much is done, short of a couple that we will be voting on over time, but we will be moving forward. I guess my biggest thing is, you know, we don't want to prosecute our neighbors. We're just asking you nicely and have all summer, put things away. Move your boats, trailers, campers. You're affecting your neighbors. And the thing is the majority of the people in this village are compliant. It's a very small few that aren't. So we're going to be moving forward. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Okay, Sherry?
The hall rentals are slowing down. Some are still coming in. We've had a few cancellations. So it's about the same. Steady coming in and steady cancellations, but it's understandable. I'm looking forward to getting this carpeting deep cleaned now that we have COVID funds.
Sanitized, yes.
Sanitized, it needs it.
Okay, Sherry, thank you. All right, Nancy, on trees?
Trees, we were supposed to do it earlier, but that never came around with, I know companies use COVID as an excuse, but.
Talk a little louder.
Could you hear me? Now, can you hear me? Okay. We were supposed to do the trees last month, but that didn't happen. Our lowest bidder is also our slowest person. So we're on that, next round will be that stump on East Shore. We have another one that has a hanging limb on Wobbin. And we have 2 dead trees here in the park. That's our next round. It was supposed to happen last month, but like I said, COVID seems to be everybody's excuse why they just can't get things moving. But the cheapest is the slowest, and that's it for trees. I can't think of anything else.
Or the deer problem?
Which
Deer
one?
issue.
Which deer problem?
Or whatever.
We have a lot of deer problems. We still have people feeding deer. If you could please not feed the deer. And I think we're gonna have ODNR out here to talk about feeding deer and what it does to a deer and what it does to the area. And now the ticks, I guess the ticks got up in the fall. We get more ticks in the fall, more fleas in the fall. So if we could not feed the deer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Dr. Sharma?
So a few grants are pending from Ohio Senator's office, and we got something from Pete Formica's office. I will collaborate with him. It's Ohio Environmental Protection Agency's General Water Pollution Control Loan Funds, and that's for next year. The deadline is by the end of this month. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Shannon, sewers?
Yeah, so
it's been raining. So I've actually got a number of calls from the residents that I'd either have to do my best to help or kind of push it over to the mayor. I think one of the big problems is that a lot of people have problems in their lives or in their property and, you know, are a little unclear about what is theirs and what isn't. And the other half of it is, unfortunately, this village is super old and we've had a lot of council people in this position and we've had a lot of work done. So there is, I mean, Mayor and I were talking about it today. There is a line that goes nowhere. And I'm sure there's many of those around the village. And unfortunately, you know, I don't think we have the funds really to do anything. If that is the case, there isn't much we can do besides make sure they get clean, make sure, you know, and actually as neighbors, we all need to just make sure also that we're making sure the leaves, the dirt really isn't going down the drain. You know, it's the time of the year, we're all out here cutting our grass, you know, cleaning up the leaves. Let's just do our best to make sure that we're not helping it get any worse. Besides that, if I get any requests for maps, the mayor obviously has worked in the village in the past and he's familiar with some of the maps. Between him and myself, we can send over anything that we have. Unfortunately, they're not 100% accurate. And that's all I have as far as sewers.
Yeah, we have a condition, a resident over here at 10 East Shore, he has a sewer line running right to his backyard and it just dead ends. So, and water was actually coming out through the joints of the pipe and running up on top of the ground and running over into his property. So that was one that we have the county working on that because actually there's a catch basin on Lakeshore that, or on Lakeshore Boulevard that drains into that. And again, it just goes nowhere. It dumps right into this guy's property and it just dead ends right there. I've never seen anything like it in my 40 years of sewer experience. So, but either way, I'm working with the county and hopefully we can get the county to help fix on this one. I told them, because again, it's draining their water from their right of way on Lakeshore. So that was the one problem there. And again, like Shannon said, if all the residents, there's a lot of residents that keep their grates, the catch basin grates clean in front of their properties. If any residents have a catch basin grate, make sure the leaves and debris aren't on there because those leaves get in there and then they plug the sewers up. So if we can keep those clean, and then our service guys are real good about going out. If anyone sees any plug catch basins or anything, just let me know or Shannon know, and we'll have our guys go out there and we'll clean them out ourselves. So what we were paying Cyril's actually $9,000 a year for service. We're able to do with our own guys, just go out there manually and clean them. So we've been doing good so far. We only have one problem up by Wobbin by the tennis courts. We have that catch basin's plugged, but that's the line, not the catch basin itself. That I'm probably gonna have to get videotaped. So I'm just waiting on that to see if there's any other problems that occur so I can lump it together and get them out here one time to do a cleaning and videotaping, because each time you call these guys out, it's going to cost you $1,000 minimum. So if I can lump 2 or 3 problem areas together, because again, it's not critical that we get it fixed right away. It's just when it rains hard, we're going to have the water ponding there, but it does drain eventually. So again, it's not that big of an issue. It could wait a little longer until I can get, like I said, a few together, get a better price on that. So.
Can I make a comment? The county does that for free.
Yeah, well, when they come in, I'm talking about when we paid Cyril's. But yeah, when the county does come in, Shannon sets that up. Yeah, they will come in and do that also. But in between, they only come out once a year. In between that time, these catch basins, some of them need to be cleaned because they get really plugged up bad. So we're going around checking them all the time, making sure, because there's certain ones that don't get plugged at all and some of them get plugged constantly. So they'll have to be cleaned more than once a year. And those are the ones we're addressing. So, okay. That's it on that. So safety report from Vince.
The only thing I got is the stop signs. As everybody's pretty much well aware, you've seen the white lines on the road. We were going to put the stop signs up. There's been some interest from some residents who don't believe we should have stop signs up there. I'm pretty confident that we will be able to put the stop signs up, but in the meantime, the mayor thought it would be best to wait until CT Consultants confirms the work that has already been done. What I can tell you is that the stop signs are not being put up to regulate speed. They're not being put up for the police department to sit there and write residents tickets. They're being put there for the safety of the residents. whether you're driving or whether you're walking. When I spoke with the traffic engineer at CT Consultants today, he was happy with everything that's been done thus far. He wants one more set of distances and measures, which I will complete this week, to get that information back to him. And when I do, as long as we have his blessing, the stop signs will go up.
Okay, thank you. Okay, purchases and approvals. We need a motion to approve the June and July 2020 financial reports.
Falkenberg makes a motion.
I second the motion.
Falkenberg made a motion. Nancy Mara seconds it.
Great. Ms. Falkenberg,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Mr. Cronin,
Aye.
Dr. Sharma, Ms. Sharma, Ms. Saba.
Okay, one more. Paper, next one. We got one, and we have one more that I need approval from council is a motion to approve all lift services invoice for $905.79. And this was due to a repair to the John Deere 675. And so we know going forward, I strongly suggest to everybody, if you have an expenditure that is really high like this, please notify everybody. Just send an email, a quick email out, hey, this expenditure is coming forward on there. Like this one happened not to be budgeted, so let everybody know. So we're not last minute trying to do this as an emergency item going forward on there. It also keeps our budget in line too, easier to spend.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, Nancy Mara motions the motion. Kim Saba seconds it.
Great. Ms. Falkenberg,
Aye.
Mr. Cronin,
Aye.
Mrs. Mara,
Aye.
Dr. Sharma, Ms. Sharma,
Aye.
Ms. Saba.
Aye.
Okay. Now we're going to have a presentation by one of our scouts, John Canuck. That's
It's
the
gonna help
TV
our tree
talking.
commission. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
TV talks. Yeah.
Speed it with everybody, right?
No, he's right there on the right. He's still on the little screen.
He's still recording.
Pardon?
Jeremy's still recording.
So thank you for having me here so that I can present my Eagle Scout project. My name is John Canoe. I'm a Life Scout out of Troop 91, where my troop is based in Munson, but I've lived here most of my life. My project, I believe, could benefit the community for years to come. So what I'm proposing for my Eagle project is I noticed that there were a lot of bare spots on like the median and the islands. There are even a couple out in the yard of the village hall that I was thinking could use a few more trees. Just increase shade, air quality, comfort of the community. Many of the trees will be donated and transplanted. Others will be procured from local nurseries, and if a resident so desires, they can also request a commemorative plaque to memorialize a tree by dedicating it to a person that was impactful in their life or in the community. So the kinds of trees that I was thinking about doing were cherry, tulip, sycamore, oak, hickory, and maple. They're just a few trees that I thought would grow well around here or look nice. So as far as when, I was hoping that I could get the project started as soon as October, and it should be finished as late as November. So I chose those months because they are the easiest times to transplant the trees and get them to stay alive. Because if they die, that is this project's legacy. That would be that. So where, like I said, there were several places around the village that I figured could use a tree or two. The following pictures are just a few examples. If people would like trees planted on their property, we would also be willing to do things like that. So there was this spot on Shonda, Wawa. I think that is an island. There's a lot of bare spot. This spot near 78. Spot near 20, which has a little bit of coverage already, but I was thinking maybe because it's just a big bare spot and during certain times of the day, it might get enough sun. This island, I'm going to walk into Wayden. There is a spot right about here, sort of. I was thinking maybe a tree or two could go. And why? I chose to do the project not just to earn my Eagle Scout for myself, but also to help out the community and to add to the amount of trees making Timberlake beautiful. Scout is helpful. It's part of what I'm supposed to do. How commemorative plaques would help with the money, and some of the trees can be transplanted from yards of people who don't want them. Commemorative plaques would be paid for by residents who would like to remember any of the people in their lives or the community. And I plan to put an announcement in Timberlake Times to get financial support from anyone in the community who is interested in helping my project. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your help.
John, do you want to see if people have questions?
Oh, yeah. Does anybody have any questions?
How many trees do you think you're trying to aim for? Do you know yet?
I initially planned for like 13 to 15 trees, but if you can go over.
Have you spoken to somebody for donations?
We have, I don't think we've spoken to really anybody about donations. We spoke to a close family friend who has a bunch of trees that he doesn't really want, so we could be getting a few from there. And I guess C. Pearson's that we went to talk about flags. So we're trying to make them not as expensive, but also.
And you said you would plant trees in people's yards? You mean the right of ways, like close to the street? You don't mean like in my backyard?
If people so desire, we can plant them in front of backyard, we can plant them on medians, the islands, just wherever people want them.
Who's going to be maintaining the trees as far as the caging of for the animals and the watering?
I forgot to put this in the slide, but I do think that I'm also paying for the caging of the trees, just to make sure that deer and other animals don't ruin them. The watering, I did have that figured out, but I'm ashamed to admit it, I forgot what I was supposed to say about that part.
John, maybe you could just put a request in the Timberlake Times for the person close to the tree, and maybe someone will come forth and nurse the tree for a period.
Because I believe service should still have gator bags. I'm not quite sure. We used to do that. I used to have a big barrel. Well, the big barrel, but we purchased.
Yeah, Mary bags to fill with.
Yeah, when Mary was on Council for Trees, she had all the bags. There was like about 12 to 15 of them. And then I would go around and water them from the back of the gator with the hose that would, so there's ways we can do it. The service department used to that.
I think a commitment from the service department in our village would be necessary for this project to be sustainable. So, and that I think is part of what he's asking.
Absolutely.
As long as he gives us his guidance, we'll help you out.
All right.
Okay.
Do you have an idea yet what the price point will be for the commemorative plaques?
We did 2 prototype ones for my grandfather for his birthday. I want to say, what do those cost, like $65, $70 a piece a month?
No, I think they were actually closer to $25, $30 a piece.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, that's not bad at all then.
Great presentation. Just no hickory trees because they hurt your head and they dent your cars with the nuts.
And the sycamore are horrible with shedding the bark, but all the other ones are lovely.
Yeah.
Do we have any that sustained? That you
We
could
do have a
plant?
few, yeah.
Yeah, and we have some that were donated to us by Lake County Watershed Project that were tiny little saplings that the mayor has been nursing down in the service yard that you could plant. And there's probably what, maybe a dozen?
Hopefully a dozen.
Yes. So those are now getting to the point where when he's ready, they'll be ready. So you guys could go down there and check them out. They may need a little bit more TLC to be ready to go into the ground.
Okay, cool.
But yes, and congratulations on making, almost being the eagle. Very high honor.
Anything else before we open up the public?
Just make sure.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay, now we're gonna open up the public questions and so everyone come up one by one, make sure you give your name, your address, and come up to the podium here and speak. And
Actually, can I say something? I'm sorry. If that's okay, I know we're all neighbors. And when my mom and I took the position of being council people, we kind of expected, to be like an open door policy to anybody who had any questions or any problems. And there's a lot of misunderstandings, that happens in a village. We're very tiny. We like to look at whatever's happening next door if I'm bored or I'm working at home now. And I understand everybody's kind of on that same boat, but if you guys have any questions or any concerns, please come up to myself or my mom and ask those questions, address it, whether it's the council, whether it's our neighbors, whether it's a random person. I really, if we have any concerns, we're taking that on, but we're not saying everybody who's in our house or who's on our property is responsible for that. So if at any point anybody sees anything that they would like to talk about or address, I really, encourage everyone to just kind of come up to myself, my mom, even my sister who has a crazy schedule, but maybe not just like yell at the people who's visiting our property. I think everybody kind of deserves that little bit of respect. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Mayor, I do have one more thing also
yes.
regarding the beach. As of tonight, if anyone is still wanting a key, they'll need to fill out the form that they can get online and place it in the black box up here by Village Hall.
It's right outside the doors. Adhere to the door. Adhere to the brick next to the door.
Okay, thank you. Hi, yes.
Wait a second, we need name
Your name,
and address.
name and
My
address.
name is Nancy Stoneman. I live at 100 East Shore. Last month, received a notice of the installation of stop signs at 2 East Shore Boulevard intersections. I don't know who decided this and why. There's a manual of Ohio Uniform Traffic Control Devices for streets and highways. Because stop signs cause substantial inconvenience to motorists, it should be used only when warranted. Stop signs should never be for speed control, and it should be used when the volume of traffic warrants it. And minimum traffic volume, vehicular volume entering the intersection from all approaches must average at least 500 vehicles per hour for 8 hours on an average. We don't get 500 in a month, in a year. I don't know who decided this and why. Stop signs are not warranted and a study must be made. We haven't needed stop signs at those 2 intersections for 70 years. There's never been an accident at either of those intersections. because of no stop signs. I went through this before with other new consoles. They purchased new stop signs. I was told that this was discussed at previous council meetings. I go to about half of the meetings, but I've never heard this mentioned, and it wasn't mentioned in the minutes. Please put this information in the minutes. I sent an email to each of you, telling you that you're going to have people up here too. Why don't you do what your constituents want and not, I don't know who decided to do this. Stop signs should not be allowed, and without a study, and future council should know that. Don't change or add things before checking with your constituents. There is no traffic to warrant all these signs, including the new huge do not enter signs at each of the corners of East Shore Boulevard. I live on the end of East Shore Boulevard. I've never seen anyone go the wrong way in 30 years in front of my house. Don't say that these signs are required because you didn't check the signs for the stop signs. The village is a sign jungle. Stand at the end of the street and all you see is signs. I don't know why, who decided that we needed stop signs on East Shore Boulevard after 70 years. I don't know who decided that. The lock on the gate, $10 for a key. I pay property taxes and I also pay payroll taxes. I'm not paying $10, and if I lose it, pay $100 so that I can look at my beach. That's ridiculous. I'm not going down on the beach. I'm not going down those steps. They're too dangerous. The lock's been broken and repaired a number of times. I don't know who's getting the $10 and who's going to get the $100. I appreciate that there's 15 homes on beach property, but why should the other 600 residents have to pay for that? I stood there and kids jump over the fence. We've been going, I've lived here all my life. We used to go down on the beach. If somebody came up to me and said, can I use your beach? I'd give them the key. That's how I feel about it. It's not public. You're making the other residents pay more because a couple kids use the beach. It's not right. In normal times, I have my family over, and I tell the teenagers, go get lost, go down to the beach. I'm not going down those steps. I'm not going down those steps with my guests. I'm going to send my grandkids, I'm going to send my guests, and they should be allowed to go. They're just going to say they live with me, so that's ridiculous. And they're going to get cited for trespassing. My friends, my family is going to get cited for trespassing. And do the police really want to do that to the residents? So anyways, those are my two things that I say. And this sign out here, this homemade sign, that's a disaster. We shouldn't have to look at that. We should be able to look at our beach and our beautiful sunsets and not that other sign.
I'm addressing the petition that my fiance and I began to disable the beach lot.
Name and address.
Louder, and you're not in your address.
Sorry?
Louder and your
Just
address.
start with your name and address.
My name is Barron, 13 Mayflower Drive. I'm addressing the petition that my fiance and I began to disable the beach lock. The petition points are as follows. We disagree with the necessity of the lock on the Timberlake Beach gate. Respectfully request that the lock be reinstated to the previous condition of being latchable but not locked. We respectfully request that any payments collected for keys be refunded. We moved to Timberlake in March of this year. We've been told on numerous occasions that we haven't been here long enough to understand or comment on this issue. Before engaging the petition, we're obliged to agree. We didn't know if anyone agreed with us or not, but I'd like to remind everyone that I'm here representing the signatures of 100 residents of Timberlake, many of whom have been here for decades. The petition point regarding the necessity of a lock did not receive the strongest support with regard to the petition as a whole. I believe the primary reason for the large support of disabling the lock is council's lack of transparency regarding the institution and execution of the lock. As implied, the keys will be distributed and a lock installed. In practice, access to the beach was removed prior to the 4th of July weekend with no notice whatsoever and at a ransom of $10. The lack of discussion and disclosure frustrated universally. Not one person that we spoke to who was for or against the lock agreed with the manner of its execution. The locked gate creates a safety hazard. Council has ensured that an emergency responder access box has been installed so that they may get keys to the beach. This does not go far enough. The gate must not lock from the inside. If a key is lost on the beach, this creates a trap. Timberlake residents commonly cited their taxes as evidence they should not have to pay for a key. If the council believes that the exigence of the lock supersedes Timberlake's capacity to fund the lock, then it is the duty of council to inform the village not only of the necessity of the lock, but the necessity of the tax required to execute it. The dissent for this tax and the support of our petition should surprise no one given the manner in which it was enacted. Council is beholden to the law which states that only lot owners may access the beach. With the institution of a lock, they have extended governance and responsibility to the city of Timberlake and its residents. Council did not write the law regarding access to the beach, but the policy regarding keys to the lock is entirely an invention of council. Council has determined independently that there may be only one key per lot owner and replacement keys will incur a penalty of $100. This conveys an unsettling message that Timberlake residents cannot be trusted. The message is that if given the opportunity, Timberlake residents lack the judgment required to avoid acquiring and distributing keys frivolously. I resent this judgment. In addition, council has invented that it is not enough to be a lot owner to obtain a key, but that they must also live in Timberlake. This measure has blocked the ability of lot owners to distribute keys to renters. Renters pay taxes and are beholden to all the laws and ordinances of Timberlake, yet are being told that one of its most wonderful amenities is simply off limits. I argue that while council may have the authority to apply a lock to the beach, it has no legal authority to restrict access to the beach in the draconian manner in which it has chosen to do so. Lot owners should be able to freely acquire as many keys as they are capable of losing at a fixed cost. Responsibility of access to the beach resides with every resident of Timberlake. Council should consider recusing itself of its defensive stance as exclusive arbiter of access to the beach and deliver this responsibility back to its rightful owners. I've been asked if I have any ideas for an alternative solution. For a purely mechanical solution, the gate must be at least restored to the former state where it was locked from the park side only. This is a safety hazard that must be rectified immediately. The price of keys should be at least cut in half, as the $10 price tag is nothing short of an unapproved tax of $5 to $8. The ability of lot owners to purchase keys should be unrestricted. For a technological solution, I would be happy to work with council to source a key fob-based solution. Two of the advantages of such a system would be the dramatically reduced cost of keys and the ability to remotely lock the gate from any access if weather or other conditions render the beach and or stairs to the beach dangerous or impassable. I'm qualified to advise in this manner as I design and test embedded systems and am intimately familiar with the technology involved. I'm aware of Councilman Cronin's quote for a $6,000 solution, and I'm confident that I could help research and deploy a solution for far less. As I stated in my email to council, I would like a vote regarding disabling the lock. My delivery of suggested measures for diffusing this issue should not be mistaken for acceptance of the lock. I remain firm that it should be disabled, at least temporarily, to allow council to engage the village and come up with a plan that we might all be willing to support, a plan that prioritizes safety and trust of its citizens above all else. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Yeah, we, please hold to 3 minutes per subject.
Per subject, so per person.
Per person, yes.
No, per subject.
Whatever your subject is.
Per subject.
Wait,
Wait a second, wait a second.
I just want to say,
Wait a second.
Decisions like this.
Wait a second.
we did discuss, by the way, the key locking the gate at the May meeting and the June meeting, by the way, council meeting. So they were discussed about locking it, and we were gonna put it together, so.
And previous administrations talked about this all the time. It was just a money issue. We did the least amount of cost to the village with the most amount of complaints. I don't want to take up your time. We'll let everybody speak and then we'll speak. Please, you speak.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to thank Councilwoman Paul for support from the Lake Section, for support of the Timberlake Village Club parade. With a success, thank you, Jerry, for supporting us. I appreciate it.
Ron, excuse me, Ron. What is your address?
I said Pori Shore Boulevard.
Okay, thank you. Ron Mona, Pori Shore.
He can keep it on if he wants it on.
As far as the closing the beach, the locking the gate, I look back to the records to June and July, and in June, the mayor made a suggestion that he was best looking into fixing the beach, the gate. And he said there was cost, and he said he would take care of it. That was the only discussion I heard about the beach, about the law. There was no discussion with the village, no input from the village, nothing brought up to it, no ordinance passed on it. And then they turned around and said, in the next meeting, we're putting up a gate and charge people $10. Where's the input? Where's the transparency to let the village know what we're trying to do? It's, something we have. And we got legislation up to try to raise funds because we're in such a, yep, we're going out spending money on the beach, spending money on a camera and buying new stop signs. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Thank you.
Hi, I'm smiling. I'm Jennifer McCarty, 58 East Shore Boulevard, and I just have a question. Is there a law or ordinance against feeding the deer? Because the last administration, the council person whose purview wildlife fell under didn't really want to research it, so I did with Ohio State Wildlife, and there is no law against feeding the deer. If we're making a law or an ordinance, that's fine. I'm just asking. Because I also worked on the ordinance review and there was no wildlife feeding ordinance. So I just want to be clear where that's coming from and what the rules are and where that's stated.
Okay.
My name's Laura Holman. I live in 21 Nepowan. I've lived in the village for almost 16 years. As a mother of small children, I am very for the stop signs because when we walk, and my kids are on bikes, people come flying down around this corner and they've almost hit my kids several times because they won't slow down and it's hard to see on that curb. I have dogs I walk every day. If you walk in the village, you can see people, are not paying attention, and I don't care about the volume. I care about my kids getting hit. So I think the small, minute inconvenience of making a stop is worth saving a child, an adult, an animal. There's so many deer and dogs and children in this neighborhood. That's just my 2 cents on that. Thank you. My children, I like to go down to the beach. I don't want to have kids from other neighborhoods down there fornicating and looting people and in front of my children or in front of anyone for that matter. If you live in Euclid and you want to use your beach club, it's $125 a year. Yep. I think $10 is for life. Like, just don't lose your key.
And it's a deposit. You move, we'll give you back the key. Or you give me back the key, I'll give you $10.
A key costs $10.
We're gonna answer all these questions that everybody talk, and we'll talk.
Yes.
My name's Jane Chaveko. I live in 14 East Shore. I've been there for 14 years. Over the last few years, I don't believe my tax dollar that we spent a lot of money for this parcel and for our beach, that we should just open it up to the public. I believe our move that we had to lock it down is a good thing. We can't just go over to Eastlake and use their swimming pools, but they have to buy a pool pass. They have to buy it every year. With us, we buy a beach pass. We get a key, $10 for the life. But the one thing I have a problem with is people who do rent here. Our renters, the landlords get extra money because that is a perk for them. And if the people actually have an ID, have a W-2 that they are paying people now that you're looking to get money, they should actually, the landlord should be able to sign and register them to have the key. The landlord who owns that property would actually have to step back and not be able to use the key because he passed it to his tenants. but they should be allowed to use it because they are residents and they are taxpayers. But I do appreciate the fact now that our beach is almost gone, that we've shut down a lot, because the last year being retired, I see what's going on during the day. And that's not fair to people, and they can't let their children go down there because there's teenagers and hooligans that don't belong there. So.
I am Maureen. I live at 34337 Lakeshore, East Shore, last house right there. I don't know if anybody goes down to the beach as much as me. I'm probably down there 3 to 5 times a week. I love the beach. It's not the ocean, which I wish it was, but I get such passion and joy for being down there. Like today, I went down there with my surfboard. Yeah, I'm older. I'm trying to learn how to surf, but I'm very passionate about it. And there's a lot of dead fish out there. But just to lay there and listen to the waves coming in and looking for beach glass and just playing around on the beach, I get such joy from it. And I want to share that with so many people. And there's so many people that are not allowed to go down there, and now I have to have them as my guests. And they've been going down there for over 20 years without having to have a key. And now they, some of them, yeah, they call me like every day. You going to the beach? You going to the beach? Sometimes I might not feel like going to the beach, but I understand the peace, the tranquility that they need. And yeah, I'll go down there for a little while with you, and then people look at me funny, like, why are you letting all these people that don't live here go down to the beach? Well, we all live in Lake County. We all live by the lake. We all live in Timberlake. This is why. This is such beauty to so many people. Why would you not want to share that with people? And if you go down to the beach and you don't know somebody, go introduce yourself. Make a friend. I've met a lot of people who have just moved in here recently, and they love the beach, just like I do. And, like sharing the love of Lake Erie and the beach. That's why we live here, And there's other people here whose granddaughters can't go down there unless they're escorted by their grandfather or grandmother. Well, guess what? Those steps are so dangerous. They can't get down those steps. Are you telling me they have to sit at the bench while they're down there? That's just not fair. They've been here for decades. I've only been here 8 years. And it's just sad to see that people are taking this away from the people that love it so much. That's why we love Timberlake. And I understand keeping the kids off there and, the hooligans, but, kick them off. But that happens everywhere. You're going to have good people, you're going to have bad people. But the good people should be allowed to go down there, and especially the residents. And now that it's a residents-only beach, why can't we walk down it? Give us 10 feet from the water's edge without worrying about getting trespassing charges. There's people that have just moved in here recently, and I feel like somebody has to tell them, you'll get the cops called on you. You'll get trespassing charges. I had to pay $225 because I was picking up a piece of driftwood. That's actually at RTS's shop right now because I'm a driftwood artist. All I did was reach over, and she knows darn well why I'm there. And I'm willing to make signs for people. I'm willing to share in the love, but it's such a shame to see people who are so angry about people just stepping a couple feet up from the water's edge. Older people, retired people that just are down there to get exercise. Why are they shouldn't be fearful of that. And it's such a shame that some people can just take over the whole beach and spread lies. I can't even build my surf shack down there, and it's such a shame.
Thank you, Maureen.
Yeah, I think we should all share in the love of the beach.
I'm Jen Sigmund, and I am Vance's fiance. So my opinion on the walk and the beach is the same. So that's not why I'm up here. When we were doing our petition, a couple questions and concerns came up. So I thought, I don't think they're here, so I thought I would bring them up for them. One of them is, I understand not feeding the deer, but I also have heard that people poison the deer And I'm wondering if that is appropriate, because apparently a deer died in someone's backyard and then they had to deal with cleaning it up. So I'm gonna say, like, if they find out that feeding a deer is inappropriate, fine, but we should also consider not poisoning deer in the village. So maybe that's something we can look into. And then I have a question about ordinances. A couple asked, they said they just put a fire pit in their backyard and they weren't sure if they were allowed to have a fire back there or not, depending, like, because there's something about open flames.
And they can have a fire pit, but it has to be within a 3-foot fire ring.
3 foot.
3 foot high, 3 foot wide. That's what I heard, Lake County's ordinance.
Okay, we told them we would ask and get back to them. And then another thought, but I don't know if this is a reasonable suggestion, but you were saying COVID funds. I would think that you could possibly solve the problem of saying, people not wanting to pay for a key because they already pay a tax. Maybe that COVID money could go to the lock, because the reason that you're stating there's an influx of people is because of COVID.
Now the influx has been here forever.
But that is not, it's
let
not
her
a
talk in a
possibility.
little bit. Let her talk.
COVID money is very
Wait, can we have
restricted.
like a keyless door though? Wouldn't that fix that issue? I don't.
You want, let her finish.
Like paper towels.
Shannon, let her talk so everybody gets out and then
That was
everybody
just a
gets their yellow
suggestion,
talk.
because as you said it, I was thinking it might solve like two things at once.
Yeah,
or
we
what
can
you
ask on if we could utilize it for that. They're very strict on those COVID funds, or we have to return it
Well,
because it's
that's
grant
what
money.
I'm thinking, like it would, and then Shannon
Right.
was saying if you said keyless to have it less touching.
I'll email the statement.
I just,
Steps, rebuilding the steps.
and the steps I know everyone
That
said.
we can't use COVID funds for, but that we want to do.
I'll call Phil for free.
That was it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alan Peterson, Tenawassa. I have an island out in front of my house, and being how this subject was already brought up, I see about 1 or 2 cars take the cut through every day, or not even that many. What do we need two stop signs there for? Those cut throughs, the hardly anybody cuts through on those cut throughs. We don't need the stop signs there. And then I have a question about what was the amount of income tax we got last year collected? And then I also would like to know if this thing passes, where do the funds for the income tax go? Does that go into the general fund, or what fund does it go? Does it go for? I'm asking that because I know the medical services and the fire are paid out of the general fund, aren't they not?
Correct.
Okay, so I was wondering if that passage of that income tax would be going into the general fund so that council has a control over the whole amount.
Yes.
Gary Saba, Lebanawasa. I have talked to several beach club managers or people who run the beach clubs. Gilchrist Beach Club charges $250 initiation fee, $125 a year. Cresthaven Beach Club charges $65 a year. Brookwood charges $65 a year. And some of these have no beach whatsoever. They're just like ours. They don't have many people, no beach. All along Euclid, private beach clubs range from $150, $175 a year membership. I come down here every day after work, check it out. I walk down there, I see a guy sitting on the park bench. I said, "Hey, how you doing?" He's like, "Okay." He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Checking out the beach like I normally do." "Okay." I look down as I'm locking the gate. He's got a bag of Milwaukee's Best there. He's sitting there having a few beers, drinking. All right. He goes, I like to check out the beach. And I told him, you want to really check out the beach properly? I want a house here. He said, I'd like to. I said, well, then you should do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't want to talk about the beach. Linda Murphy, 73 Shawn Bass. There are 2 websites. I get at least 4 or 5 calls every week. Why can't you take the old one down? Take what?
So
There's 2
there's
websites.
still, according to this, a Village of Timberlake website from before that I don't know that if we can disable.
I get
or
calls
not.
every day.
Because
Well,
I think
at least,
Well, here's what she's saying is that her phone number is still on the home rental.
I got a call for.
Still showing John Ross is there.
So there is still an old website.
Mike Zoller, I think, was in charge of it. Tom Zoller was in charge of it. And then Christine was involved with it because that was the bill that they said that she used my credit card on. So we know who it is. Are we paying the bill? Why is it still there?
I actually updated the website last. I made sure I made all those corrections.
It's
And
there. It's
unless there's
another.
another shadow website, which I will look for tonight. This is beyond, this is another, I'll check into it for sure though.
But it's got all the
Yeah.
old names and everything, but every time someone looks at Village Hall, they call. So I get calls for property things. I got one for the chief today, want to rent the hall or whatever.
Okay.
Linda,
name's
do you
still on?
know if it's villageoftimberlake.com, like the exact same, or if it's
I don't know what it is.
Timberlake Village?
I don't know what it is.
Okay. I'm just wondering how we search for it to find it.
And also, it's just, if I remember correctly, the deed for the property for the beach says homeowners only.
That's correct.
So I don't know how that would be changed if you want to change it for rental people. But the deed states.
Lot owners and lot buyers.
We're gonna have Jeremy, our solicitor, address this when everybody's done, because you're right, you are correct.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Denise Purdy, 12 Oasis Drive. Well, this is just a statement, not a question. But I just got back from a really wonderful vacation. We got an ocean. It's probably staying at about at least probably about a $2 million house on a beach. We had a private beach, beautiful. People, a lot of the homes were owned and rented out. And, you know, responsible adults would walk up and down the beach. And, you know, the properties are very valuable, but it was really nice that everybody got to share the beach. I've been living here since I was in 6th grade. Got to really, really enjoy the beach. I'm just bringing this up just because it was brought up. I also was one of those trespassers. I was told by a policeman 6 months prior I wasn't up on the whole gotta be in the water kind of thing, and I wasn't up because I was out of town. I didn't keep up, had a death in the family, whatnot. And I too was walking on the water line thinking it was okay, and I was one of those that got zapped with the little video camera and whatnot. It's just a shame, you know, it's a shame that our neighbors, you know, can't let us at least walk. People weren't plopping on the place where I rented on my beach. They didn't plop their rear ends there, but they walked and we waved and we talked and we chatted, just like neighborly things would be. It's just, you know what? I'm so grateful that I had decades of the ability to do that on this beach. I'm so grateful that I had that. And that's what I'm trying to be positive about that. But I miss the good old days. I really do. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
I just have a couple questions. And a comment. I am all for the stop signs. Thank you very much.
I walk the streets all the time with
Excuse
my
me, Diane,
dog.
your name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry, Debbie King, 43 East Shore Boulevard.
Thank
I walk the dog all the time with what's now my grandbaby, and sometimes without, a lot of times without it. But, and it is difficult when people are speeding back and forth or sliding through stop signs and, it's a shame that we have to resort to something like this, but, if we have to, we have to, because it's not safe out there. But I also have a couple of questions about, could we add the speaker system? Could we add a speaker system to the hall?
You mean with COVID money?
With the COVID money?
We'll look into it.
Yeah, that part, for the audio for.
Yeah, we're looking
Part
into
of
that
it.
because we have to now do everything with Zoom. Everything is all virtual. So we're looking into getting funds to get audio visual equipment here so we can be more high tech, yes.
With the COVID?
With the COVID, yeah.
Okay,
that's
okay.
good.
I didn't catch that in the earlier statement. Also, could we use that COVID money? I know you said we're going to be cleaning the village hall with that money. After each use?
No, we cannot do it after each use. No. It's very, yeah, I did say that in the.
You can just get them cleaned and sanitized once.
Right. And if you over clean the carpet, you're gonna ruin it, so like.
But we're looking at some options. Some of our bathroom, like in our bathroom faucets, maybe we can get those touchless with COVID money.
And then we need
Right.
to.
We need a toilet, maybe a touchless toilet, touchless urinals. So if we can look at those things, maybe we can get COVID. We're gonna ask and see if we can apply for money to get those things replaced.
And then in between rentals, we need to do the extra sanitation. You know. But, yeah.
I just thought we could use it for that, we might save on our budget.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more comment because two people mentioned Nancy Stillman from 100 East Shore. So one lady mentioned about the cars coming through and going fast down the Powell. And then Debbie just mentioned that they're going down East Shore, speeding down East Shore. I live at 100 East Shore, the first house by the playground. When the cars stop at Robin at the playground and come going west on East Shore Boulevard, they are speeding down there. So a stop sign is not going to stop. They're going to stop and they're going to go. It's not going to stop them from turning that corner fast because they do it at least once every 2 years. Our mailboxes get rammed into. There's Tiffany's, mine, and Coleman. And they come around the bend and they hit them. That's just what happens. So a stop sign is not going to stop the people coming off of East Shore and going down East Shore. It's not going to stop the speeders. It's not going to stop. And we haven't had to have it in 70 years. Never has anybody seen an accident at either of those two intersections in 70 years. I've been there 65. There's never been an accident. So to put these signs up to make people stop, 10 o'clock at night, they have to stop at a stop sign on East Shore Boulevard. Is that nuts or what? And you do hear them. If you're living there, you're going to hear them start up as soon as they stop. If they're stopping, then they're going to stop and start on East Shore Boulevard. And it's not for speed. And that just seems to be everybody talking about that's for speed.
Okay, thank you.
Just to follow up, I guess we could put in speed bumps or something. I don't want my kids being the first ones to get hit and killed in that neighborhood. Sorry, I know you don't obviously care, but. Okay.
We also cut off.
All the time.
Are there
One more.
any other issues than the beach and the stop signs that we should address? Because
then we can answer questions.
Right, because we're waiting for Jeremy too.
Related to the-
Because
Yeah, we
you're
need
there. He says, would you like to make
Brett
a
Bannon,
comment?
92 East Shore. Okay, I sit on my porch at night and I watch the people walking up and down. The stop signs, I don't know why you would want stop signs. That's immaterial. The thing is that people walk with the traffic and it's against the Ohio law to walk with the traffic. You have to walk against the traffic. They congregate 2, 3 families, dogs, children, strollers, everything. The cars come up behind them and they don't care. They're not safe. And
I walk against the traffic
what,
every day.
like she says, the cars come around the corner. If you could see them, you could get out of their way. But if
No,
you
I'm
can't
talking
see 'em-
about coming down this way. And they're coming down.
Anyhow, I mentioned that earlier in the year, and I said, I said, you should put it in the Times, and the secretary, whoever that was, didn't pay any attention, said if you're walking with traffic, be careful. Well, that's not right. If you educate the people to walk properly, then you don't have to worry about the
So
traffic.
you're for the stop signs?
Pardon?
You're for the stop signs?
No.
You're not for the stop signs?
No, East Shore Boulevard is a main road. Anything coming into it should stop anyway.
Okay, thank you.
You're absolutely right, Alan. People should be walking facing the traffic. And I know you asked if something could be put in the Timberlake Times about that. I don't think anything was, because I looked for it, I didn't see it. But yeah, if we could encourage one another to do that. You reminded me one time when you first came into the village about it, and I thought, yeah, you're right. And 99% of the time I do it. And my dog automatically knows to do it now too, so thank you. But once in a while I forget, and I would appreciate if anybody would see me doing it wrong to remind me. And I will remind my the other villagers tonight. But we need to remind their children. Parents should remind their children. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. But I have a question about that. If you're on a bike, do you have to ride against?
No, you're on a bicycle, you go with traffic.
All right.
I have a question. I'm sorry. Is the public portion, I don't see anyone else coming up, so is it okay if I ask my question?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thanks so much. One of my neighbors, she recently came up and she had mentioned that a deer, I'm sorry, this is Aishwarya Sharma, Dr. Sharma, 15 Minnewawa Drive. My question is, so one of the neighbors had just mentioned during this public portion that a deer was poisoned in a backyard. This question is more for Jeremy. So from my understanding, the Ohio Revised Code explicitly states that it's unlawful to hunt or take any deer under the authority of a deer management permit outside of the Division of Wildlife from the following counties, and there's several counties listed, including Lake County. So are we prosecuting people in our village that are poisoning wildlife? This is the first time I'd heard of this, but I just think that that's absolutely ridiculous that something like that had even happened, and I definitely would like to see it addressed. So if you can maybe talk about that and let us know, what kind of legal repercussions are we taking to our fellow neighbors or residents that are intentionally poisoning the wildlife? Because that is illegal from my understanding. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. You know where the deer was? I do, it was in a resident's backyard, and that's what whoever came to clean it up commented that it looked like the deer had been poisoned. And that is very painful.
They are kind of human consumption rats, they eat everything. So it's hard to say what it could have gotten into. It may not have been intentional.
I don't know if I could have now. Like,
I mean, give me the street that at least was on.
There were no police reports about poisoning animals.
I'm really sorry. It's also super difficult to hear you guys. So I'm not sure who's talking right now, but if it's related to the question, if they can maybe use a mic or something, that would be great.
Yeah, if you move that microphone closer, they can.
Okay.
This might help the issue that Alex was the one who concluded his assessment at this point.
Oh, okay.
Alex
Thank
is not a
you.
wildlife specialist.
Right.
He didn't make that conclusion. He offers up as an option that he was aware that some people might have poisoned animals and deer in the past. It wasn't a conclusion, I was there.
Okay.
We rose in 94 Shore Boulevard. I hauled the deer out of there for my neighbor because they couldn't get anyone from the village to come and get it. So I ended up doing it after 2 days. I found it was still there. They called the village, they called Lake County, they called so many people. They were so frustrated. They were told there were no funds to remove the deer. I don't know, I've been here 30 years. And when Alex was working for it, I don't know how many deer he picked up to put the dumpster. So they got a quote for $350 to remove that deer. And I asked my neighbors, you want me to get involved? You want me to help you? They said, yeah, yes. Alex was coming around the corner. He come back, came back. I said, you want to make a few bucks help me remove this deer, please? Now, yeah, now, right now. He took the stuff off. He took his stuff home, maybe for his mom, came back, we tarped it, I tied it, gloves, masks, tarp, tied, truck, village, dump. 10 minutes? 20 minutes.
I'm sorry, the poisoning thing was just a comment.
That was a comment. That was a comment. Alex made a comment because that's what he heard. I can't imagine anybody doing that.
I just wanted to bring it up.
But yeah, but I'm
because when I
glad you
heard
brought it
I
up
was
because, you know, it's
mortified.
possible. But I've been around animals all my life, including deer, but I don't think the deer was poisoned. What I really think happened to this deer is that the mother was shot. This deer was too young to take care of itself. Ended up behind our neighbor's house in the back corner and died.
It actually, it wasn't, it was hit by a car. She had two.
Thanks, Stephen. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. The mother was hit.
So more misinformation. See, we were told that the village hired somebody to shoot the deer.
Yeah, we had two fawns that were basically motherless.
Right.
We were advised by ODNR to leave them go because sometimes you have another mother.
Mother will pick up on it. Another mother will pick up the job.
He said the worst case scenario, they'll die of starvation. You'll find
That's
out.
what happened.
So that's the behind the story. Of what
So thank you. And the deer probably ended up in the backyard. You know, there's fences now, big deer jumped the fence like nothing.
Right.
But it was the corner, in the backyard.
And they'll go in the high because of the fox and coyotes.
Right.
Because they come up that tree lines.
Right.
Ready, you need to answer the.
Goes to solve for anybody with little dogs, if you're sending them out at night, the foxes and coyotes have been on a huge decline in the last 2 years. And now that the CEI plants are kind of dormant, it's attracting more wildlife.
Yeah.
So the guys on Midnights have been remarking how many coyotes and stuff have been seen recently. And that was when the fawns started coming out, which was probably about like 6 weeks ago. It was like a smorgasbord for the coyotes.
What's the proper thing to do when that happens? Now,
What's that?
Can the village remove it or not? I'm saying they used to.
Technically, we're not supposed to get involved with wildlife, even us.
Okay.
We're all ODNR.
Okay.
I mean, if the deer is injured, hit by a car, it's bleeding, it's not gonna make it. Yes, a lot of people get mad at us, but we put it out of its misery
Oh,
because
yeah.
that's what
I
ODNR
mean,
is.
if the deer is dead,
Right.
is it the village that takes care of it, of the removal?
That part I can't.
And it
No,
might
yeah.
be
I'm
if
just
it's
throwing
on
that out
village
there.
property. Jeremy will handle it, yeah.
What do you want me to do next time? Put it out in the center? You can drag it out in the center of the shore?
We need to go.
Well, we're
Wait,
gonna
wait,
have to
one
address
more,
all
one more,
the,
and then, yeah, then we gotta go to the
Oh, that's great.
No problem, glad to do it anytime.
okay, yeah, real quick.
I have some information. I spoke with the Director of Services for Eastlake on this matter. And just asked him what their policy was. And he said if it's on a homeowner's property, public servants are not supposed to go on there and remove it. If the people can get it to the roadside, Eastlake will pick it up and dispose of it. But they're not allowed to go on, he says legally, you cannot go on private property to remove that animal. Once it's at the roadside, they do it.
No, that was my
I don't know
question.
if
Should I
that-
have dragged it to the roadside? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's right.
Should I drag it to the roadside and then call?
That-
And they said, oh, you moved it there.
All I'm saying is that's what Eastlake does.
Yeah, so I knew that.
Okay.
hit the gavel.
He also said you get-
All right, thank you.
having
You want me to answer
covered
the
with
income tax
inoculations,
question?
et cetera, dealing with that.
But I thought $350 was very unreasonable.
Hit the gavel.
All right, thank you. All right, Joanne's gonna address the income tax question now. Go ahead, Joanne.
It was asked how much, what our income tax revenue was in for last year was $114,242.05. And so you know, we paid to the city of Eastlake last year for the fire and EMS contract, $106,335.90. So right there, you can say pretty much all your income tax money went to pay for your
Fire and EMS.
contract.
Okay. All right, thank you. And now, Jeremy, can you address the beach issue?
Yeah, so the one piece that I will address, can everybody hear me okay? Okay. So the one piece that I will address, and we actually are going to put something in the Timberlake Times coming up here. So, and it sounds like some of the people who spoke today are at least somewhat aware of this. The reason that the beach is restricted to only property owners in the village of Timberlake is based upon a deed restriction that has been in place since the village was created. And that deed restriction was reinforced in 2019 in a case in front of Judge Lucci. That states that the property is owned by the village and it is only for the privilege of the use of the property owners within the village. So only lot owners and lot buyers and property owners who are permitted to access that beach. And fortunately or unfortunately, it is what it is. The deed restriction cannot be overridden by an ordinance or anything else. The only way to change a deed restriction like that is that everybody who is a party to that deed restriction would have to agree to change that. So that would mean that every single property owner in Timberlake would have to agree to make that change. And so otherwise that deed restriction cannot be changed, cannot be overridden. So the village is simply doing its legal duty in restricting that to owners of property within the village of Timberlake. Some of the other actions of the lock and the keys and those kind of things are de minimis restrictions in order to uphold that. However, it's simply their legal obligation to uphold that. And it was enforced by this court action in 2019.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
My question wasn't answered.
No,
Was it a question for him?
No,
On the income tax?
yeah.
Yes, I answered it.
Louder, maybe.
I asked where that money is the income tax money, the second 1% going into the general fund?
Yeah, the way it's written is for the general fund for police, fire, rescue.
No. Is it going into the?
That, yes, as I said, general fund, police, fire, rescue, service.
Okay, what
That's where it is.
goes to service?
What?
Is that part of the general fund?
Service is general fund.
For all that, right?
Yes.
Who designates that? Who designates how much goes to service?
It's the council meets as
So in other words, it's all going in the general fund and the council is gonna designate where that money goes.
correct. Yep.
That's what I asked.
yes, okay. And then the question on the stop signs, we are working with our city engineer right now, CT Consultants, they're doing a traffic judgment on it, and when we get all that We'll get back to you on that one, so.
I'm just, I don't really, so they are doing a study? Is that like what you're talking about? Is that what
No, we're doing a judgment, not a study.
We're doing an engineering judgment, not an engineering study. We're not required to do an engineering study because the average daily volume of the traffic of the roads back here is under 500. So we're not bound by doing an engineering study. We can do an engineering judgment, which could be done by someone who's qualified to do that at the direction of an engineer.
Does that study cost money?
No.
No.
Excuse me, man. So you say judgment, so what does that mean? That means they make the decision as to what.
Basically, they send someone out, they get the data that they want, they give it back to the engineer, and then they determine whether or not stop signs are relevant and needed.
They determine who's they in this case.
The engineer. The engineer will make the final determination.
Lake County?
No.
CT consultant.
CT consultant.
And is there a way of conducting that?
Do they have a way to get a hold of people in income?
Is that a final decision? Is that a final decision?
Once they come back, we'll discuss it with the mayor and council, and we'll go with it from there.
With the
And
attorney?
council hasn't asked like the people that this affects, that have to stop at these stop signs every day. Nobody, in 70 years, we haven't needed it. Can we have a vote?
Well,
I mean, just decided, somebody just decided this, that we needed stop signs after 70 years.
it's been in minutes before, and it's been brought up
And it's been put down.
in previous councils before.
And it's been put down.
And we've had excessive dog walkers, and I've had excessive calls. Why can't we have some stop signs?
The stop signs
Excessive.
are gonna help you if you're in the middle of East Shore halfway down. A stop sign isn't gonna help you.
Well, I think tonight you could see, you could see there are people that want them and you have people that don't want them. I'm gonna leave it up to Vince Cronin, who is doing the judgment. And I've received multiple phone calls about, they don't feel, first of all, whoever just said they should be walking with traffic is absolutely right. That's part of the problem too. People should
And
be,
you shouldn't be playing in
or
the street.
against.
You're not supposed to be playing in the street.
I know, but a lot of people do. I mean, it's a village type, it's a village
If you're at
thing.
78 East Shore, that stop sign isn't gonna make a difference.
Well, we're gonna leave it up to Mr. Cronin and the judgment, and we'll see where it takes from there.
You're gonna start following Robert's rules. Have the judgment approved?
What's that?
Did you paint these lines
Yes.
before they were approved?
Yes.
So if it does not get approved, we have these white lines we have to deal with?
Yeah, we'll have to remove them.
So that's our funds that we could pay for with
There
our
was no
taxes?
cost.
Yes. I don't know what the cost was.
It was approved.
Here's to take
The
the cost.
judgment, part of the judgment was already done. The engineer from CT Consultants is in agreement with the approach angles of the road being out of guideline with the American Association of Street, Highway and Traffic Officials manuals, which is AASHTO, which works in conjunction with the Uniform Manual Traffic Control Devices. Right now, he wants a line of sight study done, and then he's gonna determine whether or not it should be done.
Excuse me, Vince, give me a recap if you would. Of course, my understanding is that by state law, it doesn't qualify that we need stop signs. Is that accurate?
What do you mean by state law?
There's no warrant for them. What's the warrant for the stop sign?
There's all sorts of
No, just give me
deviations.
one. Just give me one warrant that the stop sign is needed. I have a whole
For-
list of here.
For the approach angle and line of, potentially line of sight. Okay, well, we can agree to disagree. We can sit here and argue all night.
No, you're talking about the approach, but you're not saying what the reason is, the need for the stop
I
sign.
just told you that. According to the AASHTO manuals, the approach angles of the 6 roads, if you go under the AASHTO manual and you look at multi-leg intersections, they are required to be a certain degree of approach. These are out of that tolerance. They're out of the threshold of that, which changes the line of sight and vision for people.
Okay.
Yes.
After he does his judgment, I'm assuming he probably has like a report he has to submit to you. That's what I would think.
He sent me the forms to get the data and take measurements, and then I'll send that back to him.
And then is the plan then to talk about it at the next meeting, like what his report was? Yes.
We could.
Sure.
Yes,
Put it on the
absolutely.
agenda.
Sure.
Okay.
Because there's a whole lot of people on East Shore that are not happy that they're gonna have to stop at another stop.
And then not all alternatives are considered, like a roundabout would be the safest route. Right in front of my house at 58 East Shore.
Correct. The roundabout would be the safest route, but that's way too expensive. Where the village can't afford that.
Cheaper to put up 4 stop signs.
I mean, there's nobody on this council that is affected by the Oasa, the Powell, and East Shore stop sign.
Well, yes, I am. I go there every day and I do. And again, that angle
You don't
is,
have to, you just don't drive on it.
I do anyway, regardless. But what I'm saying is every time I come to that approach, I've got to turn more than 90 degrees to look back and see if another car is coming. And I'm very, very cautious, and I've been doing it for 4 years now. Pardon me? Whether East Shore or I'm coming down to Powell, I'm driving the whole village every day. I mean, people can see me. So, but a lot of people don't. That's the thing. A lot of people should be, but they don't.
But it's harder to lower the speed limit.
All right, well, again, we need to wrap this up.
Okay.
Excuse me.
I wanted to address, excuse me.
One more thing we want to address.
I wanted to address the problems that we had on the beach because when I'm part of the parks, is part of my responsibility, and I let you know that one of the reasons why I was on council, I knew that I'd get phone calls, and that's what I wake up every day to, and I don't mind. That's the job that I've chosen to do here. These are the phone calls that I've had about the beach. Profanity, that people leave the beach because kids were swearing so much. I'm not saying that the kids were from Timberlake. I don't know. I don't think they were. Okay. Number 2, another time I go down there, I see an older couple down there in a corner, and I say, "Why are you over here?" And they say, "Because over there they're swearing too much around our grandkids." I go over to the kids. I tell the kids, "Knock it off. Be cool. There's people over here." I turn around. They moon me. I don't care. Whatever. I'm not seeing it. But the couple and their granddaughter sees a man drop his drawers. An 11-year-old girl saw it. Another resident's gone down there and saw sex in the lake and told them to stop. And they told her where to go. 3 meetings ago, we came out of this door here and there was kids. I'm not sure who was here. Debbie, I think you were at that meeting. The kids were throwing rocks and trying to dent the signs. The key wasn't even up yet, the signs, okay? All right. So we have so much inaction before we took action. I think Jeremy has made it clear it is our duty to protect that beach. That beach is for you. I don't like those deed restrictions either. I can't change that. He told you how to change it. Go ahead. I don't like it either. I don't like it either.
I have something to say.
But it's a safety issue, just like the gentleman that you found, who said found drinking. Okay, so there are kids that are coming in here because there's nowhere to go because of COVID, so they're coming to our beach. By the way, our beach is this big, okay? There's no room. When I went down there a couple times, the kids have taken up all the beach. If they were quiet and they weren't using profanity and they weren't defecating, there's human defecation and urinating on this little beach. And the older people have to go away further down the beach to enjoy the beach. And it's so little, like, why wouldn't you want it to protect it? We're doing it to. Right, we do. I had a policeman follow me. It looked like it was okay. As soon as that policeman turned around, okay, that's when that kid did that to me. As soon as he saw that the police, because they're going down there, the police, and how many do we have on duty at one time?
I'm sorry.
How many police officers are on duty at one time? 1. Because so many people say to me, well, I called the police, they were on another call. Oh, right, they probably were, because I've called the police, they've been on another call. So I chose to go down there and enforce this. So I'm not saying I like what we had to do. It's not a fun job, but there's a thing called pedophilia too. And I don't know if you worry about that, because I do, okay? I also know that there's COVID here too. Okay, there's only 1 case of COVID in Timberlake, okay? We don't know what's coming to our beach when these kids come in. We have no idea. I'm not saying.
It's not just kids.
Pardon me?
Do we have record of these events, like police reports?
My phone, you know what? I have emails. And I do have, I mean, I'm just as bad as that. I apologize.
Because we're just hearing this, we don't see it.
Correct.
So
You're
I'm gonna
absolutely
address
right.
that
You're
because
absolutely.
I've been down there when my husband and I first moved in. Alex is the one that called the police. We walked down, we were standing on the beach and 2 kids walked down at the end of the steps drop trout, we're doing it like jackrabbits.
And the steps.
Just plain as day. I witnessed it.
Why don't you take a selfie?
Is there a police report?
See, if I was there, I would have stopped it, like when I'm down
So
there.
we did, Maureen, I'm talking.
Oh, I know.
So when we did, and Alex, we were like, okay, where did he move? He picked up the phone, he called the police, and they came down. The day I walked down and the kids were screwing like jackrabbits, these two little girls, one that lives on Shawandasi and one that lives on Key Waden, are like this, and they're like, we don't know that.
Couldn't that happen anywhere in the village?
What? They're gonna have sex in the middle of the street? Come on. I'm tired of it. My tax dollars pay for that too. And I have a right to have it, the interest protected.
But the interest is also in the deed. The deed is what the deed is. That's
And I'll
that.
tell you
That's what
something
can't
else
change.
about the renters. Everybody sitting here in 2019 was also sitting here and part of this village in the lawsuit. Every single one of you had a right to go in front of Judge Lucci and be an interested party and have that deed restriction changed. And none of you did it. None of you. So if you wanted it changed, you wanted it renters, you wanted to make it different, you had the opportunity. And nobody but one person in this village went to court. Nobody cared until we locked it up. And that lock, according to Mary Beth Germano, who's been here for 50 years, has been unlocked, locked, fixed, unfixed, had a police officer that used to sit down there and card the kids, card residents. Do you live
Never
here?
been
Don't you?
forcefully charged for a key.
Nobody forced you to do anything.
Well, if I want access to it, my taxes apparently are being overridden, and I lose my privilege unless I pay the $10 that wasn't done by property.
And George, you have access to them.
How do I have access if I don't have a key unless I pay the $10, which is wrong?
I make a
It's out of
motion to
procedure.
adjourn.
It's out of
No,
procedure.
let everybody talk.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a right to protect the beach and our interests.
And also, if somebody goes down to the beach.
I second it.
For one of them.
If somebody goes down to the beach and sees something unsavory or maybe unsafe, use your cell phone, take a picture, don't approach those people. If you have to, approach them at a distance and let them know. I know who you are, it's on record, the film has been sent out. Now, do you want to comply or not?
You know, I
But I
love
would not
having to go down
recommend,
to my own
excuse me,
beach
I'm
and
talking.
take my
I'm
phone with me.
speaking. I wouldn't recommend approaching anybody to
You know
enforce
what?
anything unless you're.
These are all the people that got a key that were thrilled about it. I know a little girl that was being bullied
No, yes,
by these guys down there.
I
Just
disagree with you.
thrilled that she's no longer bullied.
$10.
So maybe we should start a beach committee and start charging $65 or more a year so we can fix our steps and do all kinds of other things.
We already own it with the deed.
Huh?
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
You know what?
Wait.
Sherry,
Sherry made a motion, Ben Cronin second.
Chris Cronin second, okay,
Go.
call.
Roll call. Ms. Falkenberg? Mr. Cronin? I'm sorry. It's extremely difficult to hear because everybody is
Quiet,
overlapping
please.
and talking over each other. And
Yes,
for some of us that are not able to be at the meeting because we're exposed to COVID patients every day, it's really hard to be able to write these minutes if everyone is overlapping. So let's just have just a basic sense of some sort of order, please. Thank you. Okay, I had a motion by Ms. Falkenberg and a second by Mr. Cronin for adjourning the meeting. Ms. Falkenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Cronin?
Aye.
Ms. Mara?
Aye.
Dr. Sharma? Ms. Sharma? Ms. Saba?
Aye.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
thank you. Meeting adjourned. The next council meeting will be September 15th, 7:30. Thank you.
Thank you.